Can I please have your attention?
I am that dude, Bodkins. Patty to patty. It's ridiculous. No way. There's nobody else out there. He's your guy. Give a big round of applause for the one and only BodkinShow. I'm going to repeat that again, folks. I didn't stutter. Welcome to the Bodkins Show.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of the Bodkins Show. I am that dude, of course, Bodkins. This is our great Wednesday morning weekly wrap-up show, where we catch you up all things sports, from college football all the way down to like UFC. We do it all. We cover it all. We try to hit it all. Before we get into it this morning, a little house cleaning stuff. If you missed our Sunday show, it's one of my favorite shows. Me and my guy Tanner, he came in for Kenny and Craig as they had some stuff going on. But I called it the funeral for the Green Bay Packers. So it was our Week 8 reaction show plus the funeral for the Packers as they are laid to rest for the season. And I was looking for a new team, and then I was hopping on the Bengals bandwagon because I've always loved Joe Burrow. Well, then they turned that, we saw what happened on Monday. Tonight, make sure you join us tonight. We'll have our Sunday, our Wednesday, Week 8. Are we Week 8? Week 9. Jeez, Week 9 preview show. That's right, Week 9, NFL Week 9 preview show. That'll happen about 8:45, 8:30 Central Time Zone. We got a little guest that hopefully the K&K boys should be joining me tonight. So there's all that for tonight. So make sure you join us again tonight. And then, things are still popping up on Let's Talk Sports, folks. Dan is in recovery. He messaged me yesterday. He's doing all right. So other people are holding down the fort. Myself, Tanner, Johnny Cruz, everybody else doing such great things here at Let's Talk Sports. More things to follow, whether it's Let's Talk Sports, the Bodkin Show, Whiskey Podcast, all that stuff. So continue to follow everything. Dan, get better, my friend. We miss you. It's not the same without you, my friend. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Last week, let's jump into yesterday. Holy smokes. The NFL trade deadline beginning, starting to look like the NBA trade deadline. I can't talk this morning. Just a lot of fury of moves. We'll get into a little bit of this stuff because we probably won't talk a whole lot about it tonight. Maybe it's, as we go through some teams, we'll mention their trades, but let's just break it down real quick for you. 19 trades made in all. So, I remember when I was a kid, like the trade deadline would come and go, and then there would be no news. Nobody would get traded. It just didn't happen. But the last 2 or 3 years, it is just it's been something. Teams are going all in. As a fan of a team that never goes all in, I respect the teams that do go all in. We're just going to hit the big ones. We're not going to hit. How about this one's kind of a head scratcher. I didn't get it. Bills trade get Nyheim Hines to the Colts, and they trade Zach Moss and a conditional 6th-round pick. Hines will be a nice little punt returner, kick returner, but I think Singletary does a decent job out of the backfield. But Zach Moss gets a fresh start. He'd kind of fallen out of favor in Buffalo, especially after they drafted Cook. They had Singletary already, Josh Allen, but Hines does a little bit, add a little bit there for them. For the Colts, you get a 6th-round pick, and you get a guy who can actually run the football when JT's out. Steelers made a plethora of moves yesterday. They traded for William Jackson III and a 7th-round pick to the. They got him from the Commanders when they sent back a 2024 6th-round pick. So the Steelers needed some secondary help as they're banged up. And then they also traded Chase Claypool to the Bears for a second round pick yesterday. We'll get into all the details of that one. Here we go. Kenny's saying Hines and Moss both pissed off their old team. So, well, both teams. And I guess new faces, new places. Fresh starts for both those guys. Let's see here. How about this one? Calvin Ridley, who's a suspended, traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville get Calvin Ridley, while the Falcons get a 5th-round pick and a conditional 4th-round pick, depending on this whole, if he comes back, gets reinstated type thing. I mean, Ridley's a stud, but here's what's coincidence. Calvin Ridley suspended for betting on the Falcons to cover against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And now he's on Jacksonville Jaguars. So there's all that. Calvin Ridley's a good football player, folks. Should have never been suspended all year, but I mean, it is what it is. He'd got a lot of talent, but Kenny's chiming here. He said, that's a steal for the talent. It is, but remember, even before he was suspended last year, he was sitting out. So I don't know if he knew he was going to get suspended or why he was sitting out was never really it was he didn't want to play football anymore. So hopefully he plays next year. Nice piece for the Jags going forward. I mean, their season's done this year, but next year you had him. Christian Kirk's looked nice. Etienne's looks like a playmaker. Yeah, he was sitting out for personal reasons, which, I mean, so is next year is he going to be able to play? Greg's saying, always a risk on guys that miss that much time. Yeah, but the talent's there, so I mean, what's a 5th-round pick? Calvin Ridley's definitely worth a 5th-round pick or even a 4th-round pick. So, season never over in the South. I mean, he's not playing this year, so it doesn't matter. I like the trade for both teams. I mean, he hasn't played a year and a half. If you're Atlanta, the Jaguars get a nice young talent if he does come back and play. 49ers here, they trade Jeff Wilson to the Dolphins. The Dolphins also made a move for Bradley Chubb. Miami's get Jeff Wilson Jr., while the San Fran gets a 5th-round pick. So we knew after CMC, Jeff Wilson's a heck of a running back. After they made the trade for CMC, Elijah Mitchell's coming back to be his backup. So you send Jeff Wilson to a guy he knows in McDaniel's offense, and now they have him and Mostert running the show as they got rid of Chase Edmonds, who went to Denver as well. In the Chubb trade. So I like that move for both teams. The player, Jeff Wilson, he's been a nice player all year. And then I like the move for the Dolphins. You have a nice little 1-2 running back punch there. So I call that a win for everybody. And speaking of the Dolphins, I just mentioned they trade for Bradley Chubb. So Miami gets Bradley Chubb. Denver gets a 23 first-round pick. Dolphins 24th round pick and a running back Chase Edmonds. So again, great move for the Dolphins going all in. So the Dolphins, if you remember, the 49ers traded up to get Trey Lance, and now the Dolphins have turned that into Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb. And now, I mean, with Tua, when Tua has started and finished the game, they haven't lost this year. So there's that as well. The Dolphins are a real deal, folks. I probably put them, I don't know where I would put them right now. I got the Bills. It's just complete number one. And the Dolphins beat them. So, I mean, that just goes to show you they'll play again in Buffalo later on in the season. So that'll be a must-see game. They're the only team to beat the Bills. And then probably the Chiefs, the Eagles, and the Dolphins could be really at that 4 spot in the old Bodkins Power Rankings. We'll probably bust that out next week, as we're halfway after next week. We'll be about halfway through the season. So, hey, man, the Dolphins going all in. I like it. I really do. They haven't made the playoffs, and God knows when. Johnny Cruz would know that. I think it's almost a decade since they've made the playoffs, and they're going all in. They could legitimately catch the Bills. They only have 3 losses. The Bills have 1. They play the Bills again, and the Bills could get caught again. So, I mean, they could win that division, maybe even be first place in the AFC. And, but and then these guys aren't just free agents next year. They're on, decent sized contracts. So even if you continue to build from this year into next year, kudos to the Finns, though, for going all in. I like it. Kenny says Dolphins won the deadline 100%. We'll see if on paper. Kenny said Tannehill made the playoffs. Okay, maybe it's been like a decade plus since they've won a playoff game. And then I mentioned earlier the Bears get Chase Claypool. They send back a 23 second round pick. What the hell are the Bears doing? I don't understand this move as far as since like you trade Roquan Smith, you trade Quinn. It looks like you're getting you're going to pile these draft picks. And then you're like, you know what? Let's go get a second on Chase Claypool. And I'm not being a hater, as Craig will probably try to chime in and tell me I'm being a hater because my team was in on Chase Claypool, the Packers. I don't really want Chase Claypool in the Packers. I mean, if we got him, great. Like, I'm not high on Chase Claypool because I don't think he loves football. And that's okay. The guy's talented, but I don't think he has it between the ears. We've seen that. And, I mean, I don't like the trade. What the hell are the Bears doing? You're trading all your defense, and then you're like, hey, you know what? Let's bring in Chase Claypool. I kind of read a situation was like, well, maybe they're trying to still, evaluate Justin Fields. If you look at Justin Fields' last three games, the dudes have been beasting it. There's nothing to evaluate. To me, but looking at him, he has the tools going forward if you give him some weapons. Are you trying to win or are you trying to lose? Like, if you're trying to win this year, then you would have kept your defense. You would have kept Quinn and Roquan Smith and, tried to add Chase Claypool. Instead, you're like, hey, let's get rid of the defense. Let's get some offense. And now your defense is way worse. And your offense, did it really get any better? We'll see. We'll see. Speaking of Craig, Roquan and Quinn, big money, expiring contracts, Claypool on rookie deal with next to no money owned and under control next year. I get that, Craig, but are you trying to win this year or next? What are you going to do? Now you got to rebuild. Is there going to be a better linebacker out there than Roquan Smith in the free agency in this draft? I understand what you're saying that, hey, let's get rid of these expiring contracts. Then why not trade for Chase Claypool in the offseason? Here comes Craig polishing a turd. I mean, Bears lost the deadline. Neither team should have gave a second for him. So Kenny's definitely not a fan of the Chase Claypool trade. I'm not either. I mean, we've seen that show. He hasn't done much in Pittsburgh. I mean, he hasn't had great quarterback play there, but had a lot of talent around him. So this year, I thought he should have blossomed, right? Like, you got Pickens, you got Deontay Johnson, like you're kind of like the third, fourth guy. It's just never materialized, I feel like. So I don't really know. Hey, Pittsburgh gets rid of both headaches in the last 2 years. The TikTok boys, they let Juju go in the offseason. Now they trade Chase Claypool. So I don't think trading Chase Claypool is going to fix the Steelers' offense either. So Claypool isn't a win now. Roquan's leaving regardless. Claypool isn't a win now or a win later and move. Yeah, I don't agree. Roquan was leaving because the Bears fumbled that move months ago. Hey, that's probably true. I mean, the Bears did fumble that move. They were trying to get an extension done. He wanted money. I get it, but I don't get it at the same time. Hey, I hope, for Justin Fields' sake, because I like that kid. And this is to show Craig I'm not a freaking hater. I like Justin Fields. Actually, the beginning of the year I said Aaron Rodgers didn't give me Justin Fields as the best quarterbacks in that division because I want to see Fields' best football. I've seen Kirk Cousins' best football and it hasn't got the job done. But I love the potential of Justin Fields. They just didn't give him no weapons. Now he's got a little bit of a weapon. So let's see here. I thought this trade was just out of nowhere here. Minnesota gets TJ Hawkinson, a 23rd, 4th round pick, a conditional 4th, another 23rd, 4th round pick, a 24th conditional 4th round pick, while the Lions get a 2nd and a 3rd. How does Minnesota get TJ Hawkinson and 2 draft picks for a 2nd and a 3rd? The hell is Detroit doing? Yesterday, I was just flabbergasted that they traded TJ Hawkinson. I didn't know they gave up 2 more picks with TJ, plus to only get a 2nd and a 3rd round pick. What are you doing, Detroit? I love TJ. When he was in Detroit, I was kind of like, he'll go out there and let him ball out. Now that he plays for Minnesota, I hate Minnesota. So now I got one of my favorite players, one of Kurt's dogs. TJ went to Iowa, so I obviously follow him and Noah Fant, all the Iowa boys, and now he's going to Minnesota. Kenny's going to poo-poo that trade because Kurt doesn't throw it a lot to the tight ends, but hey, if he starts to, TJ Hawkinson as your 3rd option is incredible. Minnesota going all in here for this trade. I mean, that's a steal. TJ Hawkinson, plus you get 2 draft picks, and you're only giving up a 3rd and 4th. It doesn't matter. Plus, he's going to help out in the run game a hell of a fucking pass blocking tight end. I like the move for the Vikings, maybe because I'm so high on TJ Hawkinson, and they got 2 draft picks. So there's that. That's kind of all the huge names that were moved. I don't understand Detroit because, I mean, if you watch Sunday Show, me and Tanner were talking. I thought, Detroit gets Williamson. They have Hawkinson. They have Swift. And, the left tackle Sewell. They go out and maybe get a quarterback. And I'm not saying Goff is playing bad, but, you get Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud and you build that core up. Like, that's a deadly core. Now they just said, sorry, TJ. And I felt like TJ was kind of, one of Dan Campbell's type guys. So not a huge fan of that move. I like it for the Vikings. I love Hawkinson. So Kenny said here, adding talent is never bad. I just feel like they could have saved draft equity for how much they used it. Maybe, but they got 2 draft picks back, so you cancel it out, and you pretty much got Hawkinson for free. Hawk only dude they have worth trading Hawk a year away from getting paid. Let someone else do it. That's probably true. He said Hawk is a hippie. Exact opposite. MCDC. My guy Alan here. The Hawkinson trade shocked me. Me too, Alan. Me too. They got. I wouldn't really say a late rounder. They gave up a 2nd and got a 3rd and a 4th. That's not. I mean, So let's get into some college football here. Let's look how I did last week. Not so good, kids, if you've been following the show. Fade Bodkin's train continues here. I had I'll try to find I had Ohio State covering the 15.5. That didn't happen. They almost lost that game until they pulled it out in the 4th quarter. It was the 4th that kind of did Penn State in. So I lost that one. Oklahoma State. How does Oklahoma State look so good one week and then they just get the doors blown off of them by Kansas State, 48-0? I don't understand that one. And then what other game did I pick here? There was another one I picked. I couldn't find it in my notes. Oh, the Tennessee game. I did get the Tennessee game right. They rolled over Kentucky 44-6. Man, those black helmets and orange and black helmets on for Halloween weekend was sick. So I only went 1-3 in the picks last week. Kitty's chiming in, telling me, "Hey, your NFL picks been good." Yeah, I mean, to my credit, I watched more NFL than I've watched a lot of college. This Saturday's just so busy. It's a big family day, so. Kitty said Texas teams don't count if you look good against Texas. Maybe that's what it was. I said Oklahoma State looked good against Texas. Then they go in and just lay a goose egg against Kansas State. Before we get into this week's, how about last night? First of the college football rankings come out. Tennessee number 1. No problems there. I mean, their strength of schedule is really good. I mean, they beat Alabama. It seems like a lot of teams have come into Tennessee, but ain't nobody come out of Tennessee with a win. So kudos to them. Old Rocky Top. Tennessee, give it to Tennessee. This is the first time, man. Tennessee ain't been this good since what? T. Martin and Peyton Manning days, man. Like this is, and that's a long time ago. Remember, Peyton Manning never even won a national title at Tennessee. At Tennessee, and then T. Martin won it the next year. So Tennessee, they got Ohio State 2, Georgia 3. I mean, if you wanted to flip Ohio State, Georgia, that's fine. And then Clemson at 4 as they continue to be unbeaten. So I don't really have any problems with any of those. I think Clemson probably has the easiest path. And really, if you want to tell me Georgia's 1, Tennessee's should be 2, well, guess what, folks? That brings us to this Saturday. They play each other. Tennessee goes to Georgia, number 1 Tennessee, and their dogs facing the dogs. Georgia is the favorite. Tennessee, Georgia's the favorite at -8.5. So Kenny's saying Georgia 31st place votes in the AP by far the most. Hey, I mean, it doesn't matter, though. Again, they play each other this Saturday. Let me ask you this real quick. Who's this game like? If Tennessee loses, how does this affect going towards the playoffs? Because, hey, what happens if Tennessee can run the table, and even if they lose to Alabama in the SEC title game, they probably still get in with the 1 loss because, I mean, you split the 1 Tennessee. And then Georgia, who would not be able to get in. This is a kind of must-win for Georgia because if Georgia can beat Tennessee, then they're going to the SEC championship game to play Alabama. And then what happens if Alabama beats Georgia? And then you have 3 one-loss SEC teams. Do they 3 get in? And then maybe the winner of Ohio State and Michigan? And you roll out Clemson, even though what if Clemson's still undefeated? This is why it needs to be just a little bit bigger because I like that Tennessee team. I like the Georgia team. I mean, Alabama's freaking Alabama every year. I'm kind of rooting for this Tennessee team because they just kind of come out a little bit out of nowhere. Very interesting here what happens. So Georgia just told Tennessee is the best team in the country. Georgia by 20. Kitty's saying the voters set Tennessee up for failure. 3 SEC teams won't get in. So I mean it'll be interesting though. This is the biggest game of the season. I mean, I guess the Tennessee-Bama game was great and it was good, but right now, man, this is both these teams need this one. You got to walk through almost undefeated in a tough SEC. If you have 3 one-loss SEC teams, the champion gets in. If the Big Ten, Clemson, and TCU stay undefeated. I don't think so. Alan, I don't think so. Teams, the Big 12 is not the SEC. Give me a one-loss SEC team. You can't tell me if you can't convince me on any neutral field that TCU's beaten Alabama, Georgia, or Tennessee. Not happening. I don't think all three teams will get in, but I think it's a very possibility what we're dealing with here, folks. Kitty saying everybody rooting for Tennessee because it's not Bama or Georgia. The biggest game for Tennessee since 1998. Hey, this might be that Kenny might be right. This is probably the biggest game for Tennessee since T. Martin suited up for the national title game. Craig saying three SEC. You guys are so naive that you don't think that three SEC teams don't get it. I'm not saying that I want that to happen. I'm saying that we've seen this show before. Like, I mean, they'll do it. I don't put it past the voters to do it. That's what I'm saying. He said it's not a possibility at all. I kind of hope it happens just so I can say I told you so. Not that I want it to happen. I really don't, because I do feel like Alan, Notre Dame gets in all the time. They get in all the time. I'm not on the SEC. I'm not a fan of the SEC. I'm a Big Ten guy. I just think that the media, the ESPN and all that, they're on the SECs, and that's why I think that three SEC teams could get in. I hope it doesn't happen. And Alan, you're right. I do think winning your conference, but here's the thing. If one conference is better and it's got the Kenny's saying the media don't. Hey, the media don't vote, but don't think that they don't got some say. Hey, they ain't greasing these guys' pockets. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, Pac-12's never been in the playoffs either. So, but we see the Big 12 get in all the time too, Alan. Oklahoma gets in almost every year. They're obviously not getting in this year, and they get blown out by some SEC team. So. I mean, it's SEC isn't better. It's top heavy. I mean, you're right, Kenny. I mean, we've had this argument before. I agree with you that it's very top heavy. There is a little bit more sprinkled in this year. Craig saying ratings are in the SEC, but if three get in, what does winning the SEC really mean? No, Alan, look it up. Pac-12's never been in the playoffs. That wasn't the playoffs that we're now accustomed to now. Pac-12's never been in. Michigan got blown out last year. Guess Big Ten. Hey, I just want the best four teams. Let's take conferences aside. Give me the four best teams make the playoffs. Look it up, Alan. I promise you, Pac-12's never been in the playoffs. I've made this bet with everybody. Kenny's agreeing here. Pac-12's never made it. Look it up, Alan. I promise you. Bodkins ain't wrong on this one. Literally had this argument with Landez last year. The current playoff setting, no Pac-12's never made it. The way the format is right now, they've never made it. I want the four best teams. That's who I want. Conference championships mean conferences can't be set aside. I get that. But, I mean, if conference championships mean something, then a winner from each conference should be able to get into the playoffs, right? Like the five power conferences. But they don't do that. They didn't set it up that way. We've been clamoring it. I've been clamoring it. You get your five conference champions, and then you get three at-large bids. So there's 8 teams instead of 4 teams. So I think if you win your conference, you should get in, and then let the rest, what records aside, rank the rest to records or whatever you want to do. And then you get 3 at-large bids. So like Alabama, Georgia, or so whoever doesn't win the SEC, maybe Michigan, maybe one of those small schools that we've seen kind of come up, UCF a couple years ago. Oregon played Ohio State, the final BCS game, and that's the last top 4 Pac-12 team. So, Alan, I'm not too sure when this format started. It's earlier than late, early. What I mean is like early, like after 2014. I don't know when. I can't remember when this playoff started. Let's get into these games. I see. Let's make some quick picks here. Speaking of this, we'll go back to this Tennessee Georgia. How about Bama going to LSU here? Number 6 Bama versus number 10 LSU. LSU, the dog at home at 13. Or was it 13 and a half? Yeah, 13 and a half. You know what? Brian Kelly's got them boys buzzing. The game's in Death Valley. Give me LSU, baby. Kenny says, so you're going to dress up like a girl and spin a sign that says, I love the SEC when you're wrong. Give me LSU, though, plus 13 and a half. Then we got another ranked game here, Wake Forest versus NC State. NC State, the dog here at home at plus 4.5. Yeah, give me the Wolfpack at plus 4.5. Love the Wolfpack at plus 4.5. Kenny said LSU can't play two good weeks in a row. They probably can't, but 13 and a half at home. It's hard for me to take Bama at minus. Bama will probably roll. I told you my college football picks. Fade Bodkins on the college football picks. And then we get into the game of the week, game of the year so far. Tennessee, man. How about having to play Alabama, Kentucky? They've been through the gauntlet, and they got to get past one more here, and that's Georgia. Going to Georgia. I probably like the Bulldog, the dog money line, but give me the Dogs of Tennessee at plus 8.5. This game's going to come down to a field goal. I feel like give me a Tennessee at plus 8.5, baby. So we're hammering down the Vols at plus 8.5. All right, let's get into the some other news here. We got to talk baseball, the World Series. Bryce Harper and the Phillies are doing it, folks. Crushing it. Those scenes last night in Philly. Kenny's chiming in here. 8.5. Wow, it's 100%. How is the number one ranked team a dog at 8.5 team? So Vegas and the voters don't make much sense to backtrack on that Tennessee Georgia game. But let's get into the World Series here. Bryce Harper and the boys doing the scenes in Philly are just incredible. That shows you how rabid a fan base can be. Bryce Harper crushing home runs. They hit 5 home runs, tied a World Series record last night. 5 home runs. They smashed the Astros 7-0 to take a 2-1 series lead. Phillies remain undefeated at home. And now they're 2 wins away from winning the World Series. Game 4 tonight. I don't know if it's a must-win for the Astros yet. We've seen teams come back down from 3-1. So, who Aaron Nola's going for the Phillies tonight. I don't know who's going for the Astros. Is it Verlander? Verlander looked a little shaky last time out, folks. So, let's look here. I'm looking at the probables here for Wednesday's game. It doesn't. Oh, so it is Aaron Nola versus Javier for the Astros. So Christian Javier, he won this last game out. So it's Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola's got to pitch a hell of a lot better than he did the other night. The Phillies, if they could take a commanding 3-1 series lead, I got to stop sleeping on all Philly sports, man. I thought the Astros were going to take it to them, take them to the woodshed. I was proven wrong. Remember, I also said the Phillies should have sold at the deadline. Proven wrong. So, hey, keep proving me wrong, Phillies. Go ahead and take that thing from the Astros. In other baseball news here, the White Sox hired a new manager, Pedro Griffith. He was a bench coach from the Royals. Now, I don't understand that move, but hey. And then the Royals got their new manager, Matt Quattro he was on Tampa Bay's team, their bench coach. So guy who knows how to coach some young talent and things like that. So that's the baseball talk there. I mean, kudos to Bryce Harper, man. Like, I mean, just like he hit that home run last night. Crowd's going wild. He's like, this is my house. I enjoy it. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the Phillies, that the camaraderie that they have, the excitement they have. They just battling. They did say last night, I didn't realize this, that it's like 20 different wins, like the difference, and it's the second most in baseball history, really the most in like recent times. Like you'd have to go back to the 1906 World Series. So, Oregon and Washington both made the college football playoff. I didn't think so because I in the current format, the way it's played now, I didn't really bet Landez. I just Landez backed me up on that. He said he looked it up, so I'll double check on that. Anyway, that was the baseball notes. Here we go into NBA news. Here, Nets fire Steve Nash. The playoffs been around since 2014? I guess so, because I guess that was when thought they changed it though. All right. Well, I guess I was wrong. Not the first time, won't be the last time. Nets, the NBA news, Nets fire Steve Nash. Well, they parted in ways mutually. What is going on in Brooklyn? I mean, it's not Steve Nash's fault, folks. I can tell you that. Is it Steve Nash's fault that Kyrie didn't play much last year? Is it Steve Nash's fault that KD wanted to be traded? Maybe. I don't. That part might be true. Reports that him and KD didn't really quite get along. Or that, James Harden wanted out. Is it Steve Nash's fault that Ben Simmons can't make a jump shot? Definitely not. Is it Steve Nash's fault that Kyrie's out here saying anti-Semitic? Not really. He didn't say anything anti-Semitic. He's promoting an anti-Semitic movie or something like on the lines of that. I mean, I don't get it, folks. Like, Brooklyn's supposed to have the talent. They went all in on Kyrie and KD, and it's just been, I'd get rid of both of them. I mean, start fresh. Like, it's just a tumultuous, I can't even say the word tumultuous from beginning to end. It's been, for the Nets. Steve Nash had no hope. Can you say coach's job is the locker room? Yeah, but Steve Nash can't tell Kyrie to go get vaccinated, or can't help that New York has got the law in place last year. Steve Nash can't tell Kyrie to stop, put the phone down and, don't be promoting anti-Semitic stuff like that. That's not Steve Nash's fault. It's not Steve Nash's fault that Ben Simmons can't make a jump shot. That's not his fault. Alan saying better than the Lakers, and they fired him. It's real early in the season, so who knows? Blow it up and start over because this experiment didn't work. Yeah, I'm agreeing. Like, we kind of said that in the offseason, like, hey, maybe you should just try to trade and get what you can out of both guys. I know that they try to maybe somewhat move KD, but their asking price was just extremely too high for a guy who's been in the league way too, not way too long, but been in around, he's past his prime almost, or at the tail end of his prime. KD's one of the, still when he's healthy and can play, he's one of the top 5 best basketball players in the world. But I mean, that team, it's everything. They gave it, everybody from the owner needs to be listed. I mean, then they come out in the offseason and say, oh, we worked with KD's Coach Nash, KD, the general manager. We're all on the same page. So, and then KD wakes up and says he was shocked that Steve Nash resigned, or that they departed the Nets. Where is he really, KD? Like, there had to have been something going on in the locker room where you could read the tea leaves, and you're shocked by this? I call bullshit. That's what I call. I call bullshit on that. I I think he knew something. I think they knew it was going down. Steve Nash just didn't wake up today and say, yeah, I'm out of here. That didn't happen. I promise you that. So I don't get it. Looks like they're trying to hire. It originally reported that the deal was already done for Celtics suspended coach Ime Udoka. So Ime Udoka, and it looked like, but then their general manager come out and said, no, we haven't filled in our spot yet. Remember Udoka, me and Kitty were talking about this yesterday. I don't really know. Like, it was at first, it was originally reported that he was having a consensual relationship with a worker. Then it was reported that it wasn't consensual, that he was like coming on to her, maybe sending her some, made some sexual comments to her. I don't really know. Either way, the Celtics felt like they needed to be suspended, but the Celtics were going to let him walk away freely. I don't understand that. If I'm the Celtics, you got a chance to stick it to the Nets. I wouldn't let him walk. I'd be like, hey, yeah, you're going to give us a draft pick or something for this guy, and then you can have him. So that's what I would do if I was the Celtics. But it seems like the Celtics are okay to let him go freely. And remember, I mean, he took the Celtics to the NBA Finals last year, but I don't know if anybody can fix what's going on in Brooklyn. Everybody from the owner down needs replaced. Kitty's saying the page they were on was nobody wants you, KD, or Kyrie, so we're stuck. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like the Nets. I don't think they're going to be very good this year. I mean, there's just no continuity. They have two of the most on the court when they're playing, two of the best basketball players that could be playing the game, but it seems like it's just everything bothers them like so much, whether it's Kyrie or KD. It's just like I don't know, man. It's like they can't reel it in and focus on basketball. I think Ben Simmons is broken. That's just the best way to say it. He's broken. His confidence, his game, like I don't know what's going on with Ben Simmons. And once, former one, draft pick, was an all-star at one point, just looks broken. He may go away. And, that's just, he just looks like it's over for him. I don't know. He needs somebody. He was garbage at LSU, just good size. Possibly so. Maybe too much hype coming in. He was never fixed. I guess so. Maybe Kenny's right. He was never fixed. There's always holes in his game. He just never worked on his game. But it seems like even the parts that was good about him has now fallen off. That kind of wraps up the quick NBA news and notes. So our last little bit here. On Saturday, Jake Paul beats Anderson the Spider Silva in a boxing match. No controversy at all. Everybody had it scored for Jake Paul. It's sad for me to say this, but I was kind of rooting. First time I was kind of rooting for Jake Paul to win because I want to see the Nate Diaz fight. Diaz was him and Nate Diaz got into it in the back. If you missed it, me and Craig talked a little bit about that on our Head Kicks and Haymakers show. So tune into that. We posted that on Sunday, so you can check that out. We went full in depth on the Jake Paul, Anderson Silva, Nate Diaz should be next fight. Give me Nate Diaz and Jake Paul. I'm like, hey, you know me, folks. I love good beef. I love the off the field, just that, especially when it comes to fighters, man. Like, give it all to me. The press conferences between Nate and Jake is going to be great. Sign me up, folks. That might be the first Jake Paul fight I order because I love Nate Diaz, and I'll be so, by the time that fight comes around and the time they do all the media scrum, I'll be all the way in on Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul fight because just thinking about it, thinking of what they're going to say to each other and all the crap they're going to talk gets me excited. So, like, you know me, as a WWE fan, I'm all in on that type of stuff. Like, hey, count me in. In the UFC side, Man, this featherweight division continues to get weirder and weirder. Arnold Allen does beat Calvin Kattar, but Calvin Kattar blows his knee out in the first, tries to come out in the second, and just couldn't put any weight on it. Fight's over. Kudos to Arnold Allen, though. Like, unlike Yair, Arnold Allen is not out here clamming for a title spot. He said, I need another fight because, I was hoping to come out here and knock out Arnold Allen or beat him decisively to say, hey, give me a title shot, whether it's interim or a real deal. But kudos to Arnold Allen saying, I need another fight to prove myself. So, so I need to prove myself. So I'd like, me and Craig again talked about this, Arnold Allen, what to do with this featherweight division. I'd like to see Arnold Allen and Yair or Josh Emmett and somebody in there as well. Maybe Max Holloway. How about this? Ariel Helwani kind of persists. So they're we know they're trying to go to England in March. Arnold Allen's got to be on that card. How about Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen? Arnold Allen beats Max Holloway, solidifies him as the number one contender. I would like that fight. Arnold Allen, Max Holloway in England, in London in March. That'd be a hell of a fight. And then you could do Arnold Allen. You could do Josh Emmett, Yair Rodriguez together. Kenny's chiming in. Respect to Allen, knowing he shouldn't get a title shot from injury unlike Yair. Yeah. So Kenny's saying Allen should fight Emmett for the interim. I guess if you want to, I'm more. I like the Max Holloway fight. I mean, Max needs a fight. Like, who knows what he's gonna do? Allen chiming in here. Logan versus Roman on Saturday. Yeah. Hey, the Usos is gonna get it done. Allen, so. Why is Max name involved? No one wants to see him and Volk, so he shouldn't be an interim or number one contender. I get that. I mean, just should be the gatekeeper to the gatekeeper, right? Like, I mean, he could be Robert Whitaker, Kenny. Like we say, hey, if you want to be the best middleweight in if you want a shot at Izzy, you got to go through Rob. So why not be that guy in the featherweight division? If you want a shot at Volk, you got to beat Max, because really Max is probably the second greatest featherweight out there. The only person he can't beat is Volk. We do the same thing for Rob and Izzy. You could do that for Max. I mean, how about Max though? So Max obviously can't beat Volk. And then there's talk of Max moving up to 155, and Volk said, I'm going to go ahead and try to take this title from Islam. Anyway, so there's that. I get there's three dudes. So there's three dudes. So you match one of those three dudes with Max Holloway, Kitty. That's what I'm trying to say. Because one guy's going to be the odd man out. Well, you got the fourth guy, the greatest guy. You telling me you wouldn't want to see Arnold Allen versus Max Holloway in London? I do. Sign me up for that fight. Let Jair and Josh Emmett fight. Two guys that kind of on the same mental path as far as Jair feels like he done over a fluke win. I won't say fluke win, but I'm not saying it has to be an interim fight. I'm saying let them fight for a number one, just to fight so Arnold Allen can get to the title fight. That's what I'm saying. Doesn't have to be an interim fight. Just to fight. Just a great fight. Arnold Allen wins that one. He proves that he's the number one contender. That's what I'm trying to say, Kenny. I'm not putting an interim title on it. Not putting an interim. Because if you think about it, Volk fights in February at the 155, and Arnold Allen and Max, if they get that number one contender, if that featherweight's on there, especially with Arnold Allen, whoever it is, and whether it's Arnold Allen and Max, Arnold Allen and Yair, Josh Emmett, that would set up the timeline perfectly for that winner to fight Volk later in the year in 2023. It doesn't. He said, just let Max be old and go make money. Emmett or Allen, one of them, their next fight is the interim. It doesn't have to be an interim fight. Volk even wants it. I mean, maybe he said he would be okay with it. Doesn't say he wanted it. Just said, hey, be okay with it. Just makes more money, title versus title. So I mean, it doesn't have to be. There isn't no preference for this interim title stuff. Like we've talked about this on Head Kicks and Haymakers. Like Dana just does whatever he wants, pulls out the interim title whenever he needs to. Like to me, if the champion can't fight at his division or doesn't have a fight in the books in 6 months, once every 6 months, then that's when you need an interim title. But because you look at the flyweights, we did an interim title for Kai Kara-France and Brandon Moreno. For what reason? You know what I mean? We haven't seen the heavyweights fight. We saw the heavyweight champ fight one time this year. Not going to see it again until next year. There's no interim there. But then last year, you look at the year before that, there was an interim title fight. And you know what I mean? That was from March to August, much less from January. Here we are a whole year. Emmett beating Cater earned at least an interim opportunity. He earned a number one contender spot. Like, let him fight. Then let him and Arnold Allen. That's why I said let him and Yair fight, and then let Max and them fight. I mean, did he beat Calvin Cater? I guess the judges say he did, but watching that fight, you can't tell me any difference. But I guess you know what I mean. Like, it is what it is. Hey, my eyes said that Calvin Cater won, just like Sean O'Malley says he won the fight. Hey. Judge say he won the fight. My eyes probably tell me Peter Yan won that fight. I'm not the judge or the fighters. I just like talking about making matches. So there's that. He's saying Cater didn't win that fight. It was close. Cater thought he won. A lot of people else thought he won. I thought he did. It was a good hell of a fight. I mean, it was razor thin. It's not like no robbery or nothing like that. I'm just saying, like, Max needs a fight. Like, let him be the number one guy. That's all I'm saying. Like, you got three guys. You just said we have three guys, so you need to match up that third guy so he's not left out in the cold. So you give him Max Holloway. You beat Max Holloway, you're the truest number one contender out there in the featherweight division. Give it to Arnold Allen. Arnold Allen, Max Holloway, London, love it. Even if you want to do Max and they already did Max and Yair, Max won. Max and Josh Emmett, I would favor Max in that fight. That would be a good fight though, because both dudes love to stand and bang. So I would take that one too. What is Yair? I just don't understand why Yair Rodriguez. Get him out. Like I'd rather see Arnold Allen. I'm so far away from Yair and wants to sit out this mess. I mean, if you want to do Allen and Emmett in London for the interim, I'm okay with that. I'm not saying it can't happen or won't happen. I just think that Arnold Allen and Max would be a bigger name, bigger draw in London, especially. So there's that. Well, folks, we're going to get out of here. It has been another great episode of the Bodkin Show. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Remember, we'll be back tonight. We'll be back tonight at 8:30, 8:45 Central for our NFL Week 9 preview show. Got a lovely guest coming on, our guest picker. We'll see how we did last week with our picks. The K&K boys should be back giving some nice fantasy advice. So we'll be back 8:30 Central time zone tonight, 8:30, 8:45-ish time zone. Be a friend, tell a friend. Hit the nice subscribe and share button, folks. Hit the nice share button. Be a friend, tell a friend. Everything is coming on here on Let's Talk Sports again. We appreciate it. Thank you. Dan, get better, my friend. We miss you. So by the way, check out my guy at Philly Sports Rap. I was on that show Saturday, taking straight bullets. Kenny for you. They asked me to fill in for a Cowboys fan. I'm not even a Cowboys fan. I'm out here taking stray bullets, trying to, pump the Cowboys. That was an awful deal. In Philly country. So you can only imagine how that went down. But please tune in for that. Make sure you check out our Sunday show. We'll be back again 8:30, 8:45 Central tonight. Be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. You know what to do. I'm going to hit that outro as soon as I find the button. We'll see you guys.